Hey y'all, welcome to day 26 of my channel. You only get one chance, right? We're so close to 30 days. And I had a mental breakdown today. So I'm gonna talk about that. But first I wanna talk about something that led to said mental breakdown. So I fell. I know I've told you guys I fell. It was my second day back at work. I fell right on my butt. I have a picture of it. It was great because it was on camera, of course. And then yesterday I had to go to urgent care to make sure that I didn't break anything because I hit the ground so hard. Good news is it doesn't look like I broke anything. They did not do x-rays because they were like, how much pain are you really in, and they really don't think that I actually broke anything because there's not a lot of swelling or bruising. I'm just really, really sore. But they said to come back if I needed an x-ray, and they were more than happy to do said x-ray. So after that, it had me second guessing whether I could do it, right? You get so excited to go back to work and you get so excited to do these things that you've been doing before you went crazy, and I can say that. And I'd say it lightly, but it makes you double second guess yourself when things like that happen. You're like, oh my gosh, it's only day 2 and I can't even stand at a desk without falling on my butt, and then causing a massive to-do because then you have to do an incident report and you have to do all of this other stuff. And so that happened. And then yesterday I went to the doctor, and so I didn't go to work yesterday. So then today, this is what my day was supposed to look like. My day was supposed to look like, got up, do my therapy in the morning from 9 to 12:30, then go to work from 1 to 2:45, and then do my physical therapy, go to physical therapy from 3 to 4, and then go back to work after that to finish the day out. So I got on my therapy this morning and couldn't really tell you what happened. But the next thing I knew, I was waking up and my husband was trying to wake me up, and it was 12:30 in the afternoon. And he's like, did they cancel group today? And I was like, no, not that I'm aware of. He's like, well, obviously you weren't on it. He's like, you got on it at one point. And I was like, cool. Love that for me. I have no idea what happened. So that happened. And then obviously I'm getting up, rushing around, trying to get ready for work so that I'm to work on time. And so I get to work and start doing paperwork because I'm on light duty. I can't lift more than 20 pounds, all this stuff, and start doing paperwork and do the paperwork. And then I'm like, oh, now I got to leave again. Now I got to go to physical therapy. Then I get to physical therapy, and physical therapy is worried about my heart right now because my resting heart rate is too high. And so they're talking to me about that. And then my Alter came out. And she was not happy. She was not a happy camper at all whatsoever because they were like, you have to do something about this. And she apparently doesn't like being told what to do or told that my biggest fear, and I've said this so many times throughout this vlog, is not getting the help I need and people telling me no, that they're not going to help me. Well, they worded it today kind of funky, hey, you need to go get this checked out or we're not going to be able to continue helping you. And that just made her, man, she was pissed. And the good news is this time, at least she didn't fully block me out. I was at least a backseat driver, but she was mad. And when she's mad, she's mad. So I get done with physical therapy. I call my mom and I'm like, Mom, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't keep this up. It's too much. I go to therapy 4 to 5 hours a day, and then I'm trying to work on top of that. And I'm not even right, like in the mental space sometimes to even do therapy, much less go to work. But as you all know, bills gotta be paid. Like things have to get done. And as much as I would love to say that we've prepped, for things like this, like, yeah, we did. And that's how we've made it thus far. But we're getting to the point where we're not going to be able to make it much further without some assistance or without me going back to work and getting a full paycheck. And neither of those are a reality right now, right? So crying to mom, and I'm like, Mom, I don't feel like I can do this. Then I called my best friend, one of my best friends who I've had since, high school, and she suffers and struggles with a lot of medical issues as well. And I was like, are you ready? Like, I just need to vent. Like, I just need to let it all out. Like, I need to process this stuff. And she's like, yep, ready. And processed. And then like halfway through the call, this like Arizona number popped up on my phone. And I was like, maybe I should get that. Cause like my doctors have all sorts of weird numbers because, they have offices all over the place and like, who knows where they came from first. And yeah, anyway. So I was like, I'm going to get that. And it happened to be my people that deal with my disability. And they were like, hey, we need this documentation. How are you doing? Da, da, da. And I was like, if that's not a God thing, I don't know what is. I don't know how much clearer he could have been for me today. Which leads me into today's topic of expectations. My expectations for myself are higher than everyone else's expectations for me. But we have these crazy ideas that we are super people sometimes and we can do anything and everything. And I actually created a quote a while ago for my employees, my team members, because they were trying to take on too much and they were like taking it home with them and stressing out. And I was like, no, that's not how this works, right? So the quote I came up with is, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And again, I've said this a couple times, I don't believe my own hype sometimes. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'm going to tell everybody that. And then, practice what you preach kind of scenario. And so they were like, okay, we get it. And I was like, but I kept repeating it over and over. You can't, anytime they would like get overwhelmed, I'm like, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. Like you have to have help. You have to have people like there's a reason why, like I never called my management team. They were always a leadership team because I want them to lead. I want them to lead by example. I want them to lead into, whatever that they need to do, but I want other people to see what they should be doing through them. Meaning that we have to delegate, right? We should not be doing it all. We're a team and we're a team for a reason. So you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And today was like the aha moment of that quote, of that statement that I've been making for like the last 8 months to my team. And it was a hard aha moment because expectations, there's two sides of it. It can motivate you, right? To have high expectations for yourself and where you want to be in life and at what age you want to get there and where you want to be at in your career and your relationships and everything like that. Like we set these expectations, right? And a lot of the time, that's what motivates us. We create then these goals from those expectations of ourselves. But then there's a flip side to those expectations that I'm learning is that sometimes those expectations are out of our reach. No matter how hard we try, no matter how much we put ourselves through trying to meet these expectations, there are sometimes we just can't do it. So in therapy, I have a notebook in front of me, hence why I have my pen. In therapy, we learn something, and I want to draw it for you guys because I want you to also understand. I'm talking about expectations still. So we have an expectation, especially in mental health, like I've talked about before, where we take medication and then we're supposed to be better. And a lot of people that have not had mental health issues, that is the belief system, right? Because when we get sick, we take medicine, we get better. Like, that's how that works. It's how that works with, you know, all sorts of different kinds of things. We take the medication and we get better. We get an illness, we take medication, we get better. The brain is an organ. So, for example, I break my leg. Broke my leg, right? I have not broken my leg, guys. This is just an example. But I break my leg, right? I'm going to take medication to help with the pain of the break. And I'm going to have like a cast on and I'm going to have all these things. But the break isn't going to fix overnight. The medication only makes it tolerable until it actually heals. And that's the same way with mental health and the medications that we take. A lot of people that struggle with mental health issues are going to take medication probably for the rest of their lives, because my psychiatrist was kind of like, it's a 3 strikes you're out rule. Like, you've been on depression, anxiety medication once in your life and you get off and you're like, I can cope, I can manage. And then you get on it a second time because something else happens a couple of years later even, and you get back on it and you're on it for a year. And then you're like, nope, I can handle this, I can cope again. And then the third time it's like, this is a cycle where it's a repeating cycle. We're going to see it every time something that is either traumatic or overwhelming or something like that, you feel like you need help. This medication is obviously what helps. It doesn't solve. So I'm hoping that analogy is like sinking in. It helps, but it doesn't solve everything. So expectations of ourselves and other people's expectations of us look very differently. For me, I expect myself to, so this is pre all this mess, right? So this is pre all this mess. I expect myself to be getting towards that version of myself. But what I failed to realize, and what reality hit me today, and what my group therapist has and my psychiatrist have been telling me this from ground zero, okay? It's been a constant thing, but today it really sank in because of the situation I was in. But this is the expectation I have. That doesn't mean that this is everyone's expectation. This doesn't mean that it's my job's expectation, my husband's expectation, my mom's expectation, my friend's expectation, society's expectation. That's not what this is. This is my expectation. This was me before all of this kind of came crashing, and then now I'm having to deal with all of this, right? This is me. So my expectation, mine and mine alone, is to get back up there, right? To be equal with that expectation. Well, I'm gonna move the camera so that you guys can see this. Oh, maybe I did this earlier just to make sure it would work. Okay, perfect. So my expectation, right? You're going along in life, and everybody in life has ups and downs, and my therapist does this very much better than me. Very much better. Yeah, see, she does. So you're gonna have to let me know if you don't understand. But my expectation is we have highs and lows in life, right? So in life, it looks like this. It's just up, down, 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 right? So this is what it looks like. Okay. So you have these waves, right? You have these high points in your lives, and then your low points, and then your high points, and your low points, and your high lows, blah, 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 blah. And it may not obviously be this linear, right? You may have more high points than low points, or you may have more low points than high points. It's not always this linear. Well, what happens when we have a mental health issue is we're going along in life, we're do, and then we dip. significantly, right? So we're going along in life and then we dip, okay? Our expectation and our want is to get back up here, right? That at our high point. Our expectation is to go down here, hit our lowest of our low, right? Hit our lowest of our low, and then come back up. And we're like, yeah, it might take a while, right? Like it's gonna take some time, but we're gonna go back up. And we think that it's a linear movement. We think that we're gonna get from here all the way back up to here, right? By taking medication, by going to therapy, by doing all of these things. And that's not how this works. Life has ups and downs. So I've hit just hypothetically, we hit our lowest point and we start coming back up. We're like, we're feeling better. We're taking our medicine. We're going to group therapy. We're processing our issues. We're doing all of that stuff. And then something else happens. So then we take a little dip, right? So, okay, well, we're working on it again. We're going to come up. We're going to work on it again. Oh, something else happens. So then we take another dip, right? This may continue to happen because that is life. We all have ups and downs in life. Once we've hit this spot though, there is a good chance, not 100%, but there's a good chance that our expectation of coming back up here, A, either won't happen for a while, or B, will never happen. Our new normal may be here now. This may be our new normal. It's lower than our expectation of being able to function the way we were functioning before. This dip, the lowest point so far, may even go lower, depending on the situation. But when we're expecting ourselves to be all the way back up here, especially with mental health issues, like this may not be a reality anymore. This may be, say, 100%, and we may only be able to do 75% because of what we're dealing with. And my expectation for myself was to be back up here in a very short amount of time. And that's not my reality. My reality is that I'm continuing to do this. And while I may get close, hopefully someday, to this, depending on how everything goes, I might not be able to. That's a really hard realization. I'm a go-getter. I am a let's do it. Let's try it. It's got this project and I've got that project and I really don't know how to sit still very well. And I've always been that way. I've always thought that I would be more than I am, right? I always strive to be more than I am. I strive to be a better person. I strive to make a bigger impact. I do all of these things. And crashing like I did, and now knowing what my body and my brain and my mind have been going through for the last almost 20 years of peril. Oh, it's falling because I messed with it. Of peril is now coming back. It is taking a physical toll on my body. And I have to be or come to terms with that, I guess. My last podcast, It's Okay to Not Be Okay, right? And like talking about the struggles and talking about the bad days, because obviously I had a really low day a couple of days ago. But we're all gonna have those. And we even have, and people even that don't struggle from mental health issues have those, right? We have these successes and these wins, and then we have days where it's like, oh, we barely skated by. And then we have these days where we're, obviously, oop, that didn't work. We're going to try again, like pick ourselves back up and, dust off our pants and just keep moving. Well, for people with mental health issues, which is a lot of people, guys, like a lot of people, our expectations of ourselves are what hurts us. And I'm going to give you an example why. My husband tonight, when I told him that I have had such a rough week at work, I've only worked 11 hours this week, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I was prepared, ready. Like I was ready to like have the discussion about like, well, what are we going to do money wise and And like, I thought that was going to be his like main concern, because it is a concern. You still have to live your life. You still have to pay rent. You still have to pay your car payments. Like you signed up for all of these things. And just because now you're struggling in life doesn't mean that these other things go away. And I was ready, man. I was like, okay, I got my list and I'm going to tell him what, like, And I told him, I said, hey, I think I'm going to take some more time, because I had a meltdown today and it made me realize that I can't do what I'm expecting myself to do. And my body is screaming at me that I cannot do what I'm trying to do. And to my surprise, my reality, my husband goes, yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Excuse me? What did you think? He's like, yeah, I think that's a really good idea. He's like, I don't think you're ready. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I've been watching you this week and stuff like that. And like, I really just think that you've got to take time for you and you actually have to heal properly. And like, I was like, again, remember my expectation blown out of the water. Absolutely out of the water. In the fact that he was like, yeah, I agree with that. I was ready. I was ready to be like, okay, this is why. I'm really sorry. You feel like a burden. You're not bringing in a lot of income to the house. You're right? Like you play all of these scenarios in your head. And for him to just be like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Earth-shattering moment for me. Because my expectation of myself and what I contribute currently to our household is not his expectation. His expectation is for me to get better in whatever way that looks like. His expectation is, while we do need to pay our bills and we do need to do these things, I am not going to be good to anyone if I do not heal from the damage that has been done to me. Because I've been carrying it for so long and the damage was so severe when I was a child that I haven't healed from it, and now my body is forcing me to do so. My mind is forcing me to deal with it. Expectations can be a good thing and they can be a bad thing. Make sure that when you set goals and expectations for yourself, that they're obtainable, that they're reachable, and that they're a positive move forward. Don't expect yourself to run 1,000 miles an hour when you hit rock bottom and we're only running 2 miles an hour. You're not going to get from 2 to 1,000 overnight. Just like a broken leg isn't going to heal overnight. It takes time. The brain is an organ. When you damage your mind, when your mind gets damaged by other people, when traumatic and scary things happen, anything like that, when addiction happens, anything like that, your brain is an organ. It has to heal, and you have to give it time to do so. So that's what I'm going to leave you with tonight. I'm going to leave you with my quote. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. That's why we have family, we have friends, we have coworkers, we have teammates, we have dogs, we have cats, we have pets, we have somebody, we have walls to listen to us, Somebody will listen to us, right? Something will listen to us. I'm talking to you guys through a phone, and this is probably one of the best therapy things that I've done. And I like group therapy now, but I will tell you I hated it when it started. Set expectations for yourself and have goals, but don't beat yourself up over it if you're not getting there on your terms and on your time frame. Especially when you're struggling with mental health issues. All right, y'all. Day 26 is over. I am going to bed, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for subscribing. Love you all.